3 people die in the UK every day waiting for an organ transplant. Now, the way in which you see organ donation could be changing.
I think it's unnecessary to do it. I also think it's unethical.
Benefits would have to outweigh setting up such a huge blanketed approach across the whole of the country.
Soon, across Wales, a new opting out system will mean presumed consent for organ donation.
The timing, I think, is very, very crucial when we approach families.
And I'm afraid that I would describe them as vulturesque almost.
For some, it's a potential increase in donation rates and a sign of hope.
Everything's sort of halted. You have to wait for your life to sort of carry on.
This documentary will follow the lives of those affected by organ donation.
Hang in there. You know, there are some very, very grim days where...
As we debate if there's a right way to save a life. From 2015, the new legislation for Wales will be in place. Everyone will automatically be on the donor list unless they have opted out or at the time of death, the family object.
As a result of this act, we will be making a difference in the lives of those people who are waiting on the list for organ transplantation.
Stacey's been waiting for a double lung and heart transplant for 2 years, and her health is beginning to deteriorate even more. Everyday tasks for Stacey are a struggle, with her relying on the constant need of oxygen to survive.
I would love to just be able to walk up the road. That would be like a dream come true. You could feel your heart struggling to like beat, and then your ribs feel too small for your like lungs. I have to have a 24-hour infusion into my body, and I can't not be on that or I'll die. My life is very dependent on medicine.
For Stacey, the opting out system could give her a greater chance of getting that transplant she so desperately needs. And even though she has been in and out of appointments her whole life, it seems the lengthy wait for a transplant is starting to cause her anxiety.
I suppose it's hard because I'm starting to suffer from anxiety and stuff because I think I'm going to die and stuff in my sleep. But I think I'm just very resolved about my circumstance. So there's only 16 people waiting at the moment, which makes like 1 in 3 point something million at the moment.
Is that for just a lung and heart then?
Yeah, fun time.
So it's very rare then.
But Stacey's just one of thousands still waiting on the transplant list.
My name's Ollie, and this is my story.
On March the 5th, 2010, I was told I needed to have a liver transplant.
Now I've been waiting for 4 years, and I shouldn't even be here now.
This is just to give you an insight into what I have to go through, and a lot of other people have to go through while we're waiting for a transplant.
His heart was so weak, even if they picked his arm up, his blood pressure dropped. So there was nothing they could do, and we had to turn the life support off.
Colin's son Lewis was just 2 years old when he died waiting for a suitable heart donor. He hopes England will follow the Welsh lead and more lives will be saved.
The people who really didn't agree with it to just get up and phone and take themselves off.
But not everyone agrees. Those opposing the Welsh decision think it's unethical to presume consent for organ donation.
It's not consent. It's basically, I would say, it's taking rather than donating an organ. So ethically, I think it's wrong. I think organ donation should be completely voluntary, and it should not be coerced in any way.
So it's a whole blanket national system. I certainly wouldn't like to see it in England. I would prefer to be always given the choice to opt into something that I have thought through and feel positive about.
Vicky and her husband Richard have seen the difference a transplant can make. Diagnosed with diabetes from a young age, Vicky became in desperate need of a kidney and pancreas transplant when her health started to fail.
The team came up, they'd obviously made the decision, they packed her up and literally whisked her away straight into the lift. That was, it was just really upsetting being outside the theatre, knowing that could be the last time we saw her.
The operation was successful, and now Vicky and Richard are married and are looking forward to doing the things that just 2 years ago seemed impossible.
He has saved my life.
he's allowed me to do the things that I wanted to do. And I think I would say thank you.
Because of the severe lack of donors in the UK, waiting on the transplant list can take longer than usual. And for those waiting, the time can be agonising.
You think, I can't do this anymore. But you have to. You have to do it. And your call will come. You have to be brave and just wait your turn, maybe.
In memory of her donor, Vicky has planted a rose to show her gratitude.
The rose is called In Loving Memory, and it is dedicated to the young man who saved my life.
Vicky will have to take medication for the rest of her life to stop her body rejecting the foreign organs. But in comparison to her life before the transplant, Vicky's health is much better. She hopes the new legislation will get more people talking about their donation wishes.
Some people think that it will be forced upon them then, and that's not the case. It's just that by following Wales's lead here, we would be removing the section where you would have to have that massive discussion at a very, very difficult time.
Someone who did have to have that discussion was Duncan. When his son passed away, Duncan decided to donate his son's organs.
When you've agreed to do this, they remove the life support mechanism from my son, and you literally have to then wait for him to die. And it is literally. There are always two members of the transplant team there at all times. And I'm afraid that I would describe them as vulture-esque almost. But understanding the principles of why they were there is quite important in the sense that once he does pass, or once the person passes, it's quite a time constrained thing. They've got to do things very quickly.
Communication with families is always key with organ donation specialist nurses. And for Elaine, a specialist nurse in Birmingham, these discussions can make a huge difference.
The timing, I think, is very, very crucial when we approach families.
And of course, standards of care for the donors have to be at their highest.
If it was made opt-out instead of opt-in, everybody stands a better chance. But it does concern me, being a donor, will there be enough coordinators if there was more donors? And the coordinators are the ones that give us hope and keep our loved ones alive.
And finding the donor is all that Stacey wants.
So when I have my transplant, I plan on putting like photos and stuff, because I've like instructed people that I want photos of like when I'm asleep and stuff. And I'll stick like photos in there and like cards and stuff I get.
The opting out system will take place across Wales next year. At the moment, England is staying with the opting in approach, but in both systems, family members will still have that final say. The message here is the importance in speaking out about your donation wishes.
Nobody has that conversation, nobody speaks about it.
It's really important for all those who are involved in this to really make sure they build up people's trust so that people are happy to donate and choose to donate voluntarily.
To not just sign the register for organ donation, because that's not enough, but you need to discuss it with your loved ones, your friends and your family, so that if anything was to happen to you, that your loved ones would know what your wishes were.
Your families can have a conversation and know what, you know, each of them would want. If God forbid they were ever in that situation, then I think that would help, and I think donation would increase.
So